This is Scott Pilgrim's precious little life.
Scott, if your life had a face, I would punch it.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Well, Edgar, thank you very much for joining me. I understand you've been on a very punishing promotional tour for Scott Pilgrim in the States, and you've literally just kind of landed.
I've flown back straight for this interview.
It's dedication for you. Now, I read that the first draft of the script was way back in 2005, which I imagine the comic was only probably not even midway through its arc at the time. So how much of it had Brian Lee O'Malley kind of sketched out at that point?
When we wrote the first draft of the script, there were 3 books written, and through our encouragement, Brian had written outlines for the last 3, and he didn't necessarily stick to those outlines. So some of the things in the film refer to older ideas, and very early on we knew kind of how the film was going to diverge, and Brian was, as a collaborator, he was not precious in terms of he understood what it meant to make it into a movie, basically.
If we're gonna date, you may have to defeat my 7 evil exes.
You have 7 evil ex-boyfriends?
7 evil exes, yes.
I'm talking to you, Scott Pilgrim!
And I have to defeat your 7 evil exes?
Pretty much.
This is your first attempt at a martial arts spectacular. It seems to kind of like switching up genres every time you make a new film. So who did you work with to ensure that it was, the action was convincing, that the choreography was convincing, and also that the actors, Michael Cera and co, actually looked the part when they were performing?
Yeah, well, on this film, I worked with a lot of my usual collaborators, but then 2 new people that I worked with on this was Bill Pope, who was the cinematographer who did The Matrix and Spider-Man 2 and Darkman and all sorts of amazing films.
Bit of an eye for action then.
Also, he does a lot of comedy as well. He did Team America, he did Clueless, he did the pilot of Freaks and Geeks. So he's unusual in that he's done great action and great comedy as well. And then the stunt team were headed up by Brad Allen, who is the coordinator, who's an amazing guy who is the sort of first Western member of Jackie Chan's team.
Oh, wow.
And he's somebody who Guillermo del Toro had recommended to me. And really, my brief to them was, obviously we were kind of keeping it true to the books in some respects, but also, it was the idea of making them a bit more stylized so they felt like musical set pieces. And in some cases the fights are musical. So rather than go down the sort of shaky cam, kind of gritty route, they're much more stylized and they're kind of like production numbers.
So just to wrap up then, I know you've not been a gamer since the PlayStation days, since Space, and that you kind of treated it, as you said, almost like a Viking funeral for your PlayStation days. So,
yeah.
Did you revisit any of the classics to kind of get into the mindset of Scott Pilgrim at the time, and
I think a lot of those games have never gone away. It's like most of the games have endured, and I think it's a testament to great design and playability that Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario are still sort of huge games 20 years later.
Absolutely.
And more than 20 years later in Mario's case. I think that's what's really interesting, is that the games that endure are the ones that are extremely playable, whether it's Pac-Man or Tetris or Super Mario Brothers. That's what I find really fascinating.
I want to take them apart.
We all have baggage.
Yeah, well, my baggage doesn't try and kill me every 5 minutes.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world.